Welcome back, my friends, to TFT Hyperroll with Autarch, and a wild game for you because we're going to do the augment that everyone hates but loves. It creates so much insanity in the game. It is Wandering Trainers. Now, with this augment, it can make your game very easy because it can enhance a build that you're already planning on doing, or it can open up brand new possibilities. It all depends on what your trainer has. In my case, I saw Jazz and Spellweaver and went, I think I'm gonna play into this. Gary heard what I was thinking and said, hey, you want a Spellweaver, Annie? I know you usually take the emo one, but I've had a Spellweaver. And I went, well, yeah, I've got a Spellweaver emblem on that trainer, so this can get really fun really fast. And as if Wandering Trainers weren't enough, how about some prismatic augments? Nothing super exciting here. Caretaker's Chosen isn't bad, but Harm Assist doesn't really work all that well. But the moment we see Prismatic Ticket, yeah, it's going to be hard to top that. There's a lot of stuff we want to accomplish in this game. We want to get Jazz, we want to get as many Spellweavers as we can. We also want to get Superfan, and that's because Superfan will give Annie a jeweled gauntlet, which will make her stronger and give her the ability to actually win these fights. 4 Spellweavers on their own with a minimal tank ain't gonna do it. And we know this is going to be a slow start because it's going to take a while to get all the elements together that we need. We have the Superfans on the bench, but they're not up at 2 stars, so they're not going to make a difference. At this point, it's just a matter of playing it out, picking up everything we need, and getting set for endgame. Gnashter's Tooth is one of the better Annie items, so we can go ahead and grab the bow. We ended up getting rid of Gragas because we're not going to need him to get to 7 Spellweavers. We brought in Lulu, so that means all we're going to need now is Ari and Sona at the end to get us up to 7. That will allow us also to pick up KDA once we can get our other Superfan, which is Nico. Time for the second set of augments, and I was hoping for a Prismatic Sweep, but no such luck. Nothing thrilling here. Burning Strikes might not be bad, but I'd rather have Healing Orbs. Once we can pick up a 2-star cannon, we can put cannon in, and this now gives a Superfan, so we're now getting the jeweled gauntlet on Annie. Just need Gary to throw us a bone. There it is. We now have our gold 3-star Annie, so our headliner is set. Notice we're also picking up Bards. That is to increase Jazz later in the game. Again, a lot of this is preparation for late game when we're hoping to have the Jazz, Spellweaver, Superfan, etc. all in place. And you will see that our list of traits is growing. We now have Spellweaver, Superfan, Guardian, Sentinel, True Damage, and Hyper Pop, and we're going to be adding more as we go. Ari will give us KDA, and we're going to start picking up Jazz as well, which will count to enhance itself. It is time for an item choice, and we're going to go ahead and grab the Tear of the Goddess because we're going to need a mana-producing item. We're also picking up Misfortune, again, for later in the game once we start wanting to enhance Jazz. Ultimately, this is a late game dominating comp. We are not expecting to win much along the way here because we're not playing into what will make this strong, which is ultimately Jazz combining with Spellweaver in order to make the Spellweavers really powerful. It is time for the final augment, and that golden egg is so tempting, but we're not going to win enough games to ever see the prizes in that egg, so New Recruited is, and that brings us up to the 3 Jazz. But we're still not quite strong enough yet. While we're getting a nice enhancement from Jazz, we really need to find Ari so we can get KDA going as well, because that will give us the additional power that we need in order to finish this game out. Thanks to Prismatic Ticket, we were able to get Ari, and now we're set with KDA. We can pick up the additional tier, and now we can get blue buff onto Annie. So our team now is looking pretty good. It's just a matter of deciding who gets all the tank items, which generally they go to Echo because Echo is made to be a tank in this. And while I was hoping this was going to be the power spike that really changed things for the game, they get to Annie really quickly and we're relying on her for damage. we need two more things. We need Sona, we need Lucian, and then we complete this entire build. We repositioned a little bit to try to get Annie out of being in direct contact with anything that gets in, and also put Bard in the corner in case we end up with an Akali jumping in, so Annie will have the most time possible. You can see this pays off as Annie survives until the end and is able to lead the damage charts by a lot. As we have some item choices to make, there's also a lot going on here. We're close to a gold Misfortune, close to a gold Nico. We can pick up the blue buff for Annie, but we also have to decide between Lucian and Sona. Ultimately, I bring in Lucian to get the full Jazz bonus because we have a lot of traits active, and getting that Jazz bonus will probably, at this point, be better than going to the 7 Spellweavers, which is what Sona would give us. And the reason I made that choice is because Jazz is a team-wide bonus, whereas Spellweaver would only hit the Spellweavers. While it's mostly Spellweavers who are doing our damage, the additional health you're getting from Jazz is going to allow our team to hold up longer and make up for the 55 AP we're giving up by just keeping Spellweaver. For an item choice, we can go ahead and get the Infinity Edge for Lucian so he can have a little more power. We get an additional Nico, we can duplicate her up, and now we have a gold 3-star Nico who can help us in the front line. If you look at everything going on, you realize this fight means everything. Everyone's going to eliminate one another pretty much here. Also, if we can get through this match, we get to go to the 7 Spellweavers, which will complete the build. We win it, and we end up into the top 4, and we can bring in Sona for the 7th Spellweaver, which will give us a total of 8 traits that are active for Jazz, and that is because the Mixmaster trait doesn't count, but Hyperpop does. Item choices here, was really hoping for a really good Lucian item. Red buff isn't terrible, so we can go ahead and put that on him. We get our 3-star gold Misfortune, and then second item, we could have gone Deathblade for Lucian, but since we have a 3-star Nico up front, I wanted to give her something to work with, so she gets the Warmog to help protect the backline. And as you can see, I'm not using some of the KDA spots, and the reason is that it's not a really good idea to take one of our backliners and shove them into the front line where they might not last as long. Our frontliners are pretty good, especially with the extra health, and we want them to hold out as long as possible and allow our backline to just keep doing their thing. See how long Echo has held up in this, which is what allows Annie to just keep putting out damage, and Lucian behind her helps finish this entire thing off. And whenever I get to this point, I'm always very tempted to just sell everything and try to get the gold 3-star legendary, but at the same time, I don't want to ruin what I'm doing because it's a pretty cool build given working with what the Wandering Trainer gave us. This is a 7-country team, which is going to be very, very hard to get through, and you will see where the healing orbs are helping out a ton. Watch Annie as she just keeps going down and getting back up in health as she heals, bringing us to the final match because we each have 2 health. And this is sometimes where making content kind of changes things. I could go for Lucian. They're not holding one. He's there. I have a good chance of getting him with Prismatic Ticket, but I wanted to make a Wandering Trainer build. And it's pretty rare that you get the augment and then get the right set of traits on the augment that you can really turn it into a fun comp. The one change I made is I moved Lucian over to the right because I want to be across from Vex, because Vex could absolutely ruin things, but Lucian's going to fire across the board, and that will give us a good chance of getting to Vex before she can ruin the team. Also, Echo holds up fantastically, and yep, it's Lucian and Annie who finish it off, with Annie leading the damage charts, and it's GG for everyone. Hope you enjoyed this video. Have fun with Wandering Trainer if you get it. And as always, have an absolutely awesome day.